What do you think of when you hear the term self-sacrifice? What may go flashing through your mind is visions of the many war heroes that laid their lives on the line to protect their fellow brothers in arms and their country. Or you may think of your favorite video game or movie where the hero stays behind for the benefit of the group. Some of the most famous examples would be Gandalf the Grey in Lord of the Rings, the Giant from Iron Giant, T-800 from Terminator 2. That's only just movies, but look to video games and you have cases such as Dom Santiago from Gears of War, John Marston from Red Dead Redemption, and basically everyone from Noble Team in Halo Reach. When we think of self-sacrifice in our media, it is always looked at with a positive view. Yes, it may be tragic, but the meaning behind it connects deeply with us in a way that not many other things do. Part of this is the real connection we as humans have with the concept. The human species, no matter what time period, has always been going through some sort of turmoil, war, or hardship. And oftentimes in these situations, it takes one brave soul to uplift others, save others, and sacrifice for the greater good. We always remember these moments with so much meaning behind them, but are all self-sacrifices a good thing? Should we as humans strive to put ourselves down at the benefits of others? What if your sacrifice made things worse? What if it did no good? What if you think you made the right choice, but it was not your choice to make? I pose all of these questions to you because recently I encountered a situation where I don't know if self-sacrifice was the right decision to be made. These questions popped up in my head after reading a short story by the name of I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. This story is about a group of 5 individuals that have been trapped inside a supercomputer called AM. AM has killed the entire population of the human species, and these 5 people are all that remain. However, AM has such disdain towards humans that instead of helping them, AM decides to torture them for all of eternity. In the sake of the story, AM also keeps them alive, keeping them from aging, and also lets them know the date and time so that they can count down the days of their ever-living hell. AM will constantly put these humans in the worst scenarios possible, specially crafted for each of these humans, and constantly torture them to the brink of death but refuse to let them die. In this situation, one of the humans and the main protagonist, Ted, decides to do his own form of self-sacrifice, where he kills the other humans so that they no longer need to be tortured forevermore. As a punishment, AM turns Ted into a homogeneous blob of goo that can no longer see, speak, or do anything of value, but is still mentally intact. Ted must now live the rest of eternity in this form, going through constant torture, and as a ball of goo, like the title says, I have no mouth, and I must scream. It is an extremely dark and horrible short story that truly does not have a happy ending. That is, unless you consider the other souls being free from this torture to be a happy thing. Even though Ted's self-sacrifice has left him in a position of loss and pain for all perpetuity. This example made me want to re-examine the concept of self-sacrifice and look at it from a few different angles. One being, did Ted have the right to kill the others? Differing from other self-sacrifice stories, usually the hero is the one left behind to die so that the others can live. But in this case, Ted is left behind to live and endure the pain and torture while his companions were sent to die. But is this a noble sacrifice similar to what we see in other movies and games? Was him putting them out of the misery justified despite them never giving him consent to do so? Can Ted really be called the hero in this case? Ted states in the story that he killed them despite AM and no longer give him the pleasure of torturing everyone. So with that in mind, was this instead a selfish move or an act of mercy? If we look at it on the surface level, yes, it is a noble sacrifice because he was doing what needed to be done to help the greater good, in this case his other 4 companions. But does this make Ted the hero then? If you say yes, then does this also make someone like Thanos a hero? Let's examine this. Thanos' mission was to get the Infinity Stones so that he could erase 50% of the population in the universe. He was ultimately doing this to help the universe moving forward to combat the issues that came along with overpopulation. Yes, he would be erasing half of all life in the universe, but he was also doing this indiscriminately. He was not targeting certain races, species, or peoples for erasure. He was instead indiscriminately erasing half of the universe to let it prosper going forward. So, where do we get the idea that he is the villain? Is it because we are viewing everything through the eyes of the protagonist? Is it because we watched our protagonist experience the pain and loss of Thanos' actions directly that we empathize with them and take their side? If instead we watched it all through Thanos' eyes, as someone trying to help the universe only for some extremists to get in his way, killing his loved ones, then we may change our perspective of who the villains really are. I mean, if you were told that all life would cease to exist in 1,000 years unless half the population died, would you press the button to kill half the population? If you press the button, then they can live for another 1,000,000 years. Would that not then be the right decision to make? One lesser evil for the greater good? This all goes back to the famous trolley problem. Would you save the 2-year-old or save the 5 people? Luckily, you don't need to make that decision. But this is where the issue lies with people like Thanos and Ted. It isn't that they are doing something for the greater good that is the issue. The issue is who gave them the right to make that decision. Does anyone ever have the right to make that decision? In my humble opinion, no. And that is where the problem derives from. Yes, Ted put to rest all of his companions so they would never have to be tortured again. But that was not his decision to make, despite it maybe being something that all of them wanted. Yes, Thanos was helping out the greater part of the universe in the long run, but it was not what the universe wanted. Now, some would say that this isn't self-sacrifice, but I beg to differ. Ted has to live out eternities of torture now for what he did. He sacrifices his own well-being to give peace to his companions. For Thanos, the self-sacrifice was the burden that he must carry for the rest of his life for the greater good. And he definitely felt the burden, since him having to kill his own favorite daughter in the process was one of the toughest things he had to do to help the universe prosper going forward. Just because we call it sacrifice doesn't mean it is a life that needs to always be given up in the exchange. Sometimes it's a decision, a secret, or a promise, or a burden. So who are we to say that one self-sacrifice an individual makes for a cause is worthy of praise or open to shame? As long as that sacrifice is for the benefit of the people, shouldn't it be the right thing to do? Or should any decision that may bring someone harm not be made at all? Like Geralt of Rivia says, evil is evil, Stregobor. Lesser, greater, middling, it's all the same. So should we instead take the avenue of complacency and let nature take its course? In Thanos' case, if we were already meant to die due to the low resources and overpopulation, should you instead let it happen and see if life can adapt like it always has done to survive? We are in fact resilient, so if we are left to handle what we need to handle, it may turn out for the better. Then again, why risk the ifs when you know you can save the universe or a group of people on a guarantee? So now I pose the question to you. Should we always do what is needed for the greater good of others? Thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to leave a like and subscribe because that would be greatly appreciated and it would go a long way. Once again, thank you for watching and I hope you all have an amazing day. Bye-bye.